Leading Edge, I'm Jerry Anderson. Up first this morning, are they the issues that will ultimately shape the presidential campaign this year? On one hand, Republicans laying high gas prices squarely at the feet of the president. For his part, recently Mr. Obama placing a refusal to hike taxes on the richest of rich Americans back at the doorstep of Republicans. So there will be myriad other issues, including health care reform, with the Supreme Court's ruling expected in late June. And helping us sort through all of this morning on Leading Edge, I want to welcome into the program Congressman Bob Latta, Republican, Bowling Green, a second-generation member of the U.S. House of Representatives, now in his third term up there on Capitol Hill. Good to see you. Welcome back in.
Thanks, Jerry. Great to be here.
Gas prices as an issue. Is that, I've been reading a lot. Easing up heading toward November.
Well, you know, people out there across the district every day see it. They drive down the street and there's the gas price. And, you know, one of the really scary things is that when you look at the gas price where we are today, with the barrel of oil, you know, about $102 a barrel, when gas hit 150, or I should say oil hit $150 a barrel, gas was about $4.19. So we've got a long way to go, unfortunately, if we're going to see those prices, you know, get up there, and it could happen pretty quick. And so what we're looking at out there is that there's a lot more demand that across the world. China became the world's largest consumer and user of energy this past year. And again, when folks think about it a little bit, gas prices were $1.82 in January of 2009 when the president came in. You know, right now, I passed a gas station in my district the other day that was still at $3.99.
Yep. Yeah. As a matter of fact, we're going to be doing some of that with some numbers supplied from your office. At the time of the inauguration, we're talking President Obama, gasoline $1.83 a gallon. And now, depending on where you go, as you say, you saw it at $3.90. I was in Chicago 2 weeks ago. You don't see anything in the threes there. It's $4 in north. It was all $4.25, $4.29 up that way. Yet this week we had, this past week, we had a poll, nationwide poll on WTOL 11 on who do you blame for gas prices, and the respondents, and they were obviously given more than one answer they could do, but the big oil at the top, they mentioned the Iran situation that was very high on the list. The president was mentioned very high too, but also Republican policies were noted by over 50% of respondents. People, it seems, Bob, seem to feel there's enough blame to go around. Is that strong enough to be a tipping point in a campaign?
Well, I think that as we go down the road, it could very well be, because again, when you start thinking about, when you start paying $4 a gallon for gasoline, this is going to affect food prices. It's going to affect transportation. It's going to affect people thinking, am I going to go to the movies? Am I going to do something else? And so people are going to say, I'm going to have to start looking at the essentials. Really, the thing that really helped us, especially across the country this winter, was that we didn't have a severe winter.
Right.
So fuel prices, you know, if you were in the Northeast with oil prices, or here in our area with natural gas prices, you know, they're down, but we got a real big break. But as we start seeing the year keep going on and the gas prices stay where they are, it's going to make a real impact on people's wallet, and that's tough. And especially when we're trying to get, you know, over the edge and hopefully get a recovery going, we could have this thing sliding back quickly with those prices.
I think that is a huge fear. This is not a robust economy or recovery, as all of you know. We're living through this. If it's coming back slowly. It is tenuous. I go back to the summer of 2008. My daughter had just graduated college. We decided to take a long trip pulling a travel trailer.
Oh, yeah.
8 miles per gallon, $4.25 a gallon went to the Atlantic Ocean. I just told my wife at that time, I said, but people, I didn't have to buy that gasoline, but we have to buy gas in our lives. It's coming from somewhere. It's discretionary income. It's eating out. It's buying a pair of shoes. It's buying clothing. It's buying housing. It's coming from somewhere. This could, I do fear, absolutely stall whatever recovery we have going on. Your district is very agricultural, and I want to underscore that because we don't talk about that enough in Toledo television. Energy prices hit especially.
Well, you know, I have a very unique district. I have the largest number of manufacturing jobs in the state of Ohio in a congressional district. I have the largest number of independent businesses in my district, and I have the largest number of farmers. And so as the year starts off, because a lot of people forget that, you know, there's a lot of petrochemicals that are used on a farm other than gas and diesel. You think about the fertilizers and everything else out there, everything's going to be pushed up. And it's going to hurt the farmer out there because, you know, for the last couple of years, we've actually had some good years for farmers out there.
They've gotten some great prices.
But all of a sudden we can start seeing that start backsliding if all of a sudden we're going to have more and more costs associated with fuel. And we could be doing a lot more in this country to take care of ourselves if we wanted to, because right now we're importing about 46% of all the oil that we're using in this country every day.
Here's one for you. According to the American Farm Bureau Association, farmers and ranchers will pay almost 85% more to plant their crops now than they did in 2000. That's not ancient history. That's just over a decade ago. 85% increase is staggering. All right, I want to talk to you about what do we do about this? If we're going to put this at the doorstep of the president, even the experts say increased domestic drilling, while it would have a positive effect, would a relatively small positive effect, and would also still be a ways off. It takes a while to get out there and establish these drills. Give me your solution.
Well, first of all, the solution should have started several years ago. We hear the same thing. You know, the president says, well, it's not going to do any good if we start today. Yeah, but he could have started 3 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, we could have started back with Bill Clinton if we really want to go back to when we could have gotten started on this and said, you know, let's start moving forward today. Because, you know, if you never take that first step, you're always going to be behind.
If we start today, and it takes a while, take me then to the next step. How much does that ease off the pressure?
Well, you see, here's what happens. You know, there's a lot of concern out there across the world. You brought it up about Iran. What happens if there's a missile, a cannon fire, or anything in the Strait of Hormuz? And if make oil prices around the world shoot up right off the bat, because everybody's going to say, even though Iran is only producing maybe like 1 million barrels of oil a day and putting it into the market, that's got to go someplace. That's going to have to be made up by somebody else. But what we want to do in this country is just saying, let's start producing onshore, offshore. You know, we have some areas that the president said, nope, you're not going to be able to get out there at all. Why not? Let's get out there. When he says, oh, we had more oil production in the last couple of years, well, he's right about part of it, wrong about another part. It's right that we've been producing more oil on state and privately owned land, but we've had about a 14% reduction on federal lands. You know, when people think about, you know, when we think about being from Ohio, when 97% of the land here is owned privately, think about those big states out west where the American people own the chunk of those states. So we should be out there with those leases, and plus people forget that we get money as taxpayers and citizens when somebody goes in and buys a lease, and even though they don't find oil on it, we're getting the money from the lease anyway.
Because we own the...
We're
talking a lot about energy. This is important stuff. This is every time you go to the gas station, this is you and me, my friends. And then we're going to touch on in our next segment a little political stuff. It's a presidential year. Well, a little bit. We have permission for a little bit right after this.